Okay, so we're going to be going through installation. This is one of the final parts of systems lifecycle. This section's really simple because we can absolutely guess what questions are going to come up in the exam. Basically, you'll get asked to decide what is best for a scenario. So, animations. So there's 4 different types of installation. My first top tip. You will often be given a scenario and be asked to judge which of the following is best fit for a company. Make sure you understand the pros and cons of each one and how you could apply them. So, there's 4 different ones: parallel running, direct changeover, phased implementation and pilot implementation. The easiest way to go through all of these is with a lovely diagram. So basically, most of them stick by what the words mean. So for the first one, parallel running, we're going to run them parallel, as in they're going to run at exactly the same time. So this is when a new system and an old system are run at the same time on a certain date, and the new system will be implemented but the old system will continue to run. This will continue until the organisation is confident and comfortable with their new system. So a good thing about this is that, well, let's say that something, there's a problem with our new system, we're still running the old one, so we can switch back really easily. So there's backups basically. So if it's really important that the system runs at the same time, or they're already using it the whole time and they can't stop at any point, this is quite a good one because they can run them both at the same time. However, it costs a lot of money to run 2 systems at the same time, so the financial implementations are actually massive. So to run 2 systems with a user, so one user would have to have a login on the old system and the new system, and they'd have to run it at the same time, so you've got increased server costs, there's going to be more people asking for help, so basically it's going to cost a lot more money, and that's the massive downside with parallel running. But if anything goes wrong, we can just revert back to the old and it's like nothing happened. Next up, we have got direct changeover. So this is when you literally go from using the old system and then, right, from Monday we're going to use the new one, and they cut it off completely and that is it. So basically they'll choose a date, they'll stop running the old system and the new one will take over straight away. Systems do not run at the same time, so basically our cost is reduced massively, and anyone who needs help or anyone who asks for new or has any issues, it will only be on the new system. However, if there was a failure, there's no other system. So let's say that we haven't tested it properly and something goes wrong, we are screwed. There's nothing we can do about it other than try and get the old system up and running, so we don't have a backup. So it's quick, it's cheap, but we've got no backup, so if something goes wrong, we are in big trouble. Okay, phased implementation, most companies usually go for this, to be honest, but so this is where parts of the old system are slowly phased out. So not straight away, we'll use 20% of the new system, 80% of the old. Then it will slowly change so that we start to use more and more of the new system and less of the old. So it's slowly phased out. So this one provides you with a backup. It also allows you to see if there's anything wrong with the new system before just immediately implementing it. You might be able to iron out any issues that you have and you can test it. Also, the people that are going to be actually using the system will slowly get used to it rather than just being thrown in at the deep end. So it gives them a chance to learn, so we don't have as much training. So we have reduced cost on training and stuff like that. And lastly, pilot implementation. So this means that one small part of the company will get given the system first. So if we've got a system that we want to use across the whole of our school, we might just give it to the people in IT to test out first. They'll come back and give us some feedback. Whatever feedback we get, we might change or we might amend some of it, so we go back around our system's lifecycle so that we can then slowly implement it out to everyone, or we can slowly roll it out to everyone. So a pilot literally means a small section of a company gets the program first, so they start using the new system straight away. whereas all of the other employees will still be on the old system, and this just allows us to test out whether it's working or not. Okay, and that is all there is to the 4 different systems. You need to remember the good. Did I go through the positives of this one? I don't think I did. So obviously, if there are any errors for pilot implementation, they're only going to affect the pilot group and not the whole of them, and not the whole of the company. So we can still take feedback from them, and then we can apply it to the whole organisation bit by bit. Also, only allowing a small group of people is not as expensive as making everyone do it, but it does mean that we still need to be running 2 systems. So there are still a few additional costs in there. Okay, so on the worksheet, I've got you guys to make a matrix. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Okay, so on this matrix, basically you're going to give me a description, you're then going to give me a pro and a con. Okay, so that's the first thing that we're going to do together. So I guess for Mark or people at home, I would ask you to pause here. However, we'll carry on. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go through a standard exam question. Now, this is exactly what would come up if installation ever came up. They'll give you a scenario and you have to apply your logic and evaluate which one is best. So a large profitable manufacturing company wishes to replace its current computer system with a new one. The company employs a large workforce in many departments. The time to be taken for the implementation is not important, but the new system must work as efficiently as possible. The company has chosen the most appropriate method of implementation to suit its circumstances. Identify the chosen method and explain with reasons why the company has chosen this compared to other methods. So the way to break down this question is to look at where are the clues. So they said a large profitable company, manufacturing company wishes to replace its current computer system with a new one. There's not much we can take from that other than that they're a big company. The company employs a large workforce in many different departments. Okay, so we've got different departments, so they're kind of hinting, I'm thinking pilot implementation now. The time to be taken for the implementation is not important, but the new system must work as efficiently as possible. So we could use phased, that would also work here, but as it's such a large company, maybe we don't want to apply it to everyone straight away. We don't really want to use direct because they've said it needs to be efficient and time's not really an issue. And the other one, parallel running, we could do that I suppose, but as it's such a big company, it'd be very, very expensive, so we don't want to eat into profits too much. So I would say, I would mention all of them and then I would start to talk about how maybe pilot implementation is the best, or phased, or even to some extent parallel. And you just give the positive and negatives of how good parallel, direct and so on can be implemented to this scenario. So you could just generally define like direct changeover, but then you would need to apply it to this, and that's where you're going to get 1 mark for defining it, another mark for applying it, and then at the end, guess what you need to do? Reasoned conclusion will get you 1 mark on this sort of question. So do a reasoned conclusion on every 6 or 8 marker, because if you don't, I will emotionally punch you in the head. Okay, so I've done some other exam questions for you at the end here, and so on and so on. There's only 3 because I want you to focus more on this matrix table, because when you're revising this, this is the part you're going to come back to that's really easy and really quick to look at, and really, really simple. Anyway, so that is all there is to it.